Okay, see if I can get through this making sense. So what I have here is for the 1/4 inch 4-page signature with the 1/4 inch gusset. Now you're going to match the gussets, each one of the gussets up, and get the page opened up so that they're all lined up and all pretty. And I just kind of take a binder clip and put on one end, flip it over, make sure I've got everything lined up. I want to lay it nice and flat, make sure I've still got everything, put another binder clip. And then I'm going to lay it down, and I'm going to make sure on both sides that everything's lying flat, that it's all lined up, and I'll put one more binder clip somewhere. You can put all 4 if you want, but so that's what you do first. Then when we're dealing with the gusset, I just drew the lines so you could see what I'm doing. First, you're going to find your center. Now this is 9 inches. So on your 9 inches, you're going to be on 1.5 on this end. I'm sorry, yeah. 1.5 here and 10.5 here, which finds your center. And you're going to draw a line or 2 dots on either side, whichever way you want to do it, of where you're going to punch your holes. And you're going to punch your holes where these come into contact. So your score line going across this way, you want to stay inside the actual cup. You know, you when you score down this way, your paper kind of cups up, and that is that traveling, that spot where that ball traveled across the score of your paper. That's where you want to take and poke your hole. In that travel spot and where this comes together, you're going to poke your hole right there. So this is your 6 inch or your center point, and then you're going to go 1 3/4 over to the left, 1 3/4 over to the right, and then 1 3/4 again off of those lines. Okay, so it's 2.5, 4 1/4, 6, 7 3/4, and 9.5 is what's going to get you if you're working with a 9 inch paper 1/4 inch gusset. Okay, so I'm not super anal about this, but I have done it enough that I feel confident that I'm doing it well enough. Because it does really matter if you're not able to really line it up well. It'll show at the end. So 6, 7 3/4. I'm going to find my, see now that one, I'm going to make another hole there because I missed. I went outside the score line, and I don't want to do that. And then this one is 9.5. That was 7 3/4, and then 9.5. Stay in the traveled score line. And then up here I'm at 4 1/4. And 2.5. Sorry, but my head's in the way. Okay, so there's my holes. Now for my sewing, well, to get my thread, I just kind of go a little bit past twice and cut. That gives me plenty. Go ahead and get my needle threaded. I can't do it without these needle threaders. There we go. Okay, so that part's ready. Now the only other thing I'm doing on these 4-page signatures, I am taking 1/8 of an inch double score tape. You can also take your ATC, you can take a little bit of glue, whatever you want to take, and I'm kind of putting a little piece about 1 inch up on both sides in the center of this 2 score lines. Okay. Go ahead and take the backing off of that. And then I'm taking my ribbon and I'm just going to give myself about 1 inch on either side past. I'm going to run my ribbon through the center here with about 1 inch. Flip it back over and put this down. There we go. This is just another way of trying to maintain the integrity of the page, and it helps the center look a little more interesting instead of seeing a whole 1/4 of an inch paper there. I also think that because some of this is just paper instead of cardstock, it also helps give the stitching something to go around instead of maybe pulling the paper too taut. So now, this is the top flaps. So I always want to start, and I don't know, it's not really that important, but I always start on my top left-hand side hole from the back to the front, pull it through, and leave yourself a bit of tail. Okay, then we're going to go across. There you go. And then we're going to go from this hole to this hole. Bring it back up. This is some of the easiest sewing of signatures that I've done. And then I'm going to go across again. So I'm doing this all the way down, and then I go straight across here to get back onto this side, and across. So I think you can see that stitch so far. Go across the back. This is another reason why I use these. It really helps hold that paper together where I'm not having to be fiddly with it. Now this is you're going down just like you normally do. You're going to go across just like you normally do. But then we're going to go down through here one more time, trying very hard not to get into the thread that's already there. And now I'm not pulling hard. I'm pulling snug, but I'm not pulling hard. Remembering that this is you know, mostly paper, not really a bunch of cardstock. Now I'm going to work my way back up across this way. And I'm going to do pretty much the same thing. We're going to go across and back over. Across. And back over. Every once in a while, just let your, if you start getting too many, where it's twisting too much, and you're going to go just right on the other side there. Okay, and across. Now this, sometimes it needs to get pulled tight so you don't get into the threading. Okay, pull this up, go over, across, and now you're going to do just like you did down here. You're going to, and I like to hold this thread down so I can get into the hole without running my needle through the existing thread. Go across and then bring it back into that hole again and come out the back. Let your string come off your needle. I pull it taut a little bit. Again, not hard. You don't want to pull the string through your holes. I'm going to keep it parallel, perpendicular, no. I'm keeping it with the line of the spine, and I'm leaving about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of tail. Take the binder clips off, close it up, and there's our signature. Okay, and you can run your fingers, open it up this way, run your fingers, and it's going to lay flat just like a journal does. Okay, so there's that one. And then I'll do a 2. And this one I am going to run a little bit of washi tape right along the inside of this, just to give it a little more strength, and then just cut it off. And I know I didn't have washi tape or this tape in my initial need to have, because you don't have to have it. This is just something that I'm doing because I feel like it will help the strength, the integrity of my book. But it's not anything I have to do. So now I'm going to line these up. I'm going to make sure I've got everything even. Make sure everything's sitting nicely. The washi tape does make it a little harder to read. You just have to kind of do the best you can with getting a feel for where that center point is and that everything's lined up. Take your time, get this right, because if it's wrong, it will pretty much, you know, throw everything off. And I get one side of this in and down, and now I'm going to make sure that everything is laying smoothly and it's not going to fight me. And then I just put that last one on there. Okay. I'm going to do my measurements. 10 1/2, 5 find my center. Oops, that was good. And remember, stay right in 7 3/4, right in the score line. And that is 9 1/2. And then this is 4 1/4. And 2 1/2. There we go. Now on these I don't put the ribbon. If you want to put the ribbon you can. That's kind of the reason I used the washi tape, is to give it a little bit more of a a strengthened gusset area that I'm sewing in. Okay, so this is my front page. I'm always starting from my back left-hand side. And I'm going to leave myself a tail. Going to go across. And, sorry, going to go across and then straight back. Zigzag across and straight back in. Zigzag across, straight back in. And then this is where we do it a little differently. We do the cross, we come back in. And we go back out again, and that makes it so that there's 2 stitches, because right now we've got 1 stitch, 1 stitch, 1 stitch, and none. Now we're putting this, and we've got 1 stitch here. Now we're putting a 2nd stitch in here, and now we're going to go across here and bring that, kind of make a cross stitch, so it's got an X, and then we're going to go back through, which gives me my 2nd stitch across on the back part of the spine. Finish another cross stitch and go straight across the spine, a gusset, whatever you want to call it. Cross stitch, straight across, and cross stitch. Pull this down so I can get that in, back through, back out again, and I'm just pulling it taut, not tight. I'm going to keep it going with the spine, and there we go, and leave myself a tail. Okay, so do that with all of them, and I will come back when I have them all done and show you what we're going to do next.